everybody. Happy Tuesday. If you can see and or hear me, you already know what time it is. It is time for the mic drop. And we are going to deliver on this evening. People, I hope y'all listen. Go ahead and get your seatbelt buckled. Go ahead, because it might be a bumpy ride on tonight. I don't even know how it's going to play out, but it might be a little bit of a bumpy ride for you tonight. If you have not already alerted your people that the mic drop is live, do it right now. Right now. Okay? That's what Robin Harris used to say, not now, but right now. Do it right now and let your people know, get on. We are live and we are about to go in. For those of you who do not know, I am Nishika Melton, the creator of the Mic Drop, your productivity strategist. And the reason that I created this particular podcast is I wanted to bring different experts to the stage that could bring insight. As a productivity strategist, I help you get from vision to implementation. We're crossing the finish line without all the overwhelm, the burnout, and unnecessary stress. We're leaving all of that behind because I give you tools and resources that are easy for you to understand and implement. And this podcast is one of them, and it's free. It's free 99. Okay, so get in on it. The people that have come on this stage, this virtual stage, have been exceptional. And tonight is going to be no different. And I see one of my OGs is in the chat. Listen, for those of you who are watching, who are listening, go ahead and put in the chat where you are chiming in from. Put your city and state, country, if you are outside of the United States. Let us know where you are watching from. Greensboro always shows up deep. Greensboro is always in the building. So, and yes, and Clarkton shows up faithfully. Clarkton, yes, one of my OGs as well in the building always. Y'all, that is what y'all do. That is what y'all do. And I love it. I want the chat to be lit tonight. Let me tell y'all something. So the guest I'm having tonight, when we were on our initial call, I do a Zoom call with everybody just to see if they're a good fit. You know, see what, because sometimes people have an idea of what they want to talk about. I'm like, no. We're not gonna do that. We don't talk about this over here. And this brother, he said something. I said, so right there, it was probably 2 or 3 minutes into our conversation. I was like, okay, right there. That right there is why I need you to be on the podcast, because we about to go all the way in on this conversation. He is a certified conflict resolution practitioner. Say that 3 times fast. Okay. And he has done studies, case study, got the results. So he got the data to back up. So go ahead and pick up what he's putting down, because he has the data, okay, to back it all the way up. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me find my sounds, child. Every week I'm looking for my sounds. Here we go. We are going to bring to the mic drop stage, honey, Coach DaSjuan Rose is coming to the stage. On, Coach DJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I cannot complain. I cannot complain. I am super excited. Now, they don't know what they're in for, but I have an idea. So, we keep it light here on the mic drop. And I want you, before we deep dive, to go ahead and introduce yourself to this audience. What is it you want them to know about you?
Well, my name is DaSjuan Rose, and I go by Coach DJ. Yes, I am the founder of Aim Forward Solutions, which is an AI company. But also I have workforce development as a background, because as we use technology and help people advance, we should also be developing leaders at the same time, because we know that technology is trying to replace jobs. And my goal is to make sure that we keep people ahead of that curve and making sure that they understand how to empower themselves and how to empower others. And that's one thing that's great about leaders, is they know how to lead other leaders. And so those are the things that I'm excited about. I work in, I have a life skills program in the juvenile hall. I'm a former VP. So I used to use something, it's a part of a SaaS company, and SaaS is like software as a service. And what I did was I used this tool called Predictive Index, and it really helped me understand people's behavioral hardwiring. And once I understood their strengths, it helped me understand a lot more about how to motivate someone based upon how they are designed versus how I wanted to coach them. So it was just a great tool to use for executives and to coach them, and also entrepreneurs. So I took that and translated that over into relationships. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited.
Oh, Lord, we about to get in it, y'all. We about to get in it. So first of all, the fact that you have an AI company, because AI is everywhere. Every single, you cannot go anywhere and not run into AI. And it seems like something new is being developed every single day. And the fears is AI is going to take your job. AI is going to take your job. That's some of the whispers that's going around. So to hear that you are developing leaders is absolutely amazing. Now, what made you, let me ask this question. How did you come upon the tool that you're using to help you understand more about people's behaviors? How did you even come across that?
It was through a friend of mine, actually, I said a friend of mine, but now she's currently a business partner. So we're business partners together now. And she was like, hey, I think you would really enjoy this tool. And it's going to tell, you a lot about yourself. You do a lot of self-development, personal development type of tools. I go to seminars, I read a lot of books, and I have a background in NLP. So she was like, this right here should give you some additional insight. And she shared it with me. And in 6 minutes, I got my results and I was blown away. So I was a believer ever since then.
And it was spot on.
Spot on. Absolutely.
Now I'm intrigued about that, because I have not taken any of those personality thingamabobs that have ever been spot on. There'll be a little something here or a little something there, but none of them have ever been spot on. And there was one that I just took, it's probably been about 4 months ago. And it started asking me questions that was not even relevant to anything that I actually even cared about. I couldn't see the question. So then when I just answered it, it was like, okay, here's an answer. It had me all completely wrong. But you said this one was spot on.
Absolutely.
Now, what is the NLP?
That's a great question. Neural linguistic programming is basically how our brains are wired, how we speak to each other, and how we actually have our upbringing. So our background, our experience, and our exposure. So all those things tie together into how you speak, how you communicate, your behavioral style. And it's very similar to, I'm not sure if you heard of cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's just, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And that translates into behaviors.
thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So when you took this particular, I guess it was kind of like a test, and it
Mhm.
started telling you about yourself, was it saying how you interacted with people? Was it giving you scenarios? How deep did it go?
It goes pretty deep. It's very similar to DISC and Myers and Briggs. That would be probably the most comparable type of assessments that are out there. Those
Okay.
typically take much longer to complete, and they ask you rhetorical or repetitive questions. This
Yes.
one right here is just based upon stimulus response. You look at certain words and you click these words, and after that, it puts together a behavioral profile for you. So this is different than personality, because personality is how you want to present yourself in front of other people, which that's a part of
Mhm.
the test, and that's called the self concept. But overall, you have the initial concept, which is like, how do you show up naturally? And this just helps people show up more authentically. It helps them understand some of the things that they are hardwired to do, but they didn't realize, like, oh, that's why I'm so competitive, or that's why I'm
Mhm.
very controlling, or this is exactly why I'm more introverted than extroverted. So it just helps you identify those type of strengths, which they fall into 4 different categories, just like this. So it talks about how you have, whether someone has dominance, extroversion, patience, and formality are the 4 different categories in the predictive index assessment.
Interesting. So would this assessment, I like that better than test. Would this assessment help someone who says, I don't really know what my purpose is? I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. Would it help guide them in that area as well?
Absolutely. So right now, I'm currently using it at UNLV. I'm a part of a group called 100 Black Men.
Yes, I've
And
heard of that.
yes, I'm a part of the Collegiate 100. So we go into the schools and we help them understand themselves beyond the resume. Because right now they're just using resumes in order to present themselves to HR and recruiters. So it's like, how could you present yourself on another level where you stand out
Yeah.
and you understand that, hey, I am a good fit for this actual job and this role because of my behaviors are in alignment with the responsibilities. So it's definitely a game changer for the students there who are looking for jobs. And it also helps them be more advanced when they go into leadership roles, because they have a higher level of awareness. And the more you are aware, the less you are automatic. So that self-awareness just puts them on another level.
You said the more you are aware, the less you are automatic. Now, I wish y'all could see me cross my arms. Go into that. What do you mean by that?
Actually, I got the phrase from the book Nonverbal Communication. That's by Marshall Rosenberg. And he just talks about how you increase your level of awareness. There's a study that's done that says 99% of employees expect their boss or their leader to have a high level of awareness.
Okay.
And according to Tasha Urich, she did a study at Harvard, only 15%, and I'll say that again, 15% of people are truly aware of their behaviors. But there's a 99% expectation.
Wow. Those numbers are interesting. 99% the people expect you to be aware, but only 15% actually are. And are they aware all of the time or some of?
They're usually aware all the time. They have an
Oh,
idea of who they are, how they communicate, how they show up, how they respond. And these are just natural responses. And
okay.
usually we can play a role. I call it faking the funk, right? We can fake the funk
Yes,
for a
yes, yes.
while.
We know that phrase.
Yeah, exactly. But when conflict hits and when that pressure is placed upon you, then after that, it's gonna show. So this is where I recognize it the most, because I love conflict, I love change management, and I get an opportunity to see people really in their natural state.
So you said you love conflict. Does that mean that you personally love confrontation?
Oh,
Do
absolutely.
you love being confronted?
I can't say it that much, but I love a problem. My superpower is problem solving. So whenever I see a problem, I run to it instead of away.
Mm.
And that's most likely probably why I naturally love being a business consultant, because I can go into any industry and any niche and say, hey, talk to me about your problems. And after that, we'll start brainstorming and masterminding on solutions. And that's the game I love to play.
Yikes. And I was going to ask, why in the world did you become a certified conflict resolution practitioner? But here you go.
Yeah.
You're in your lane. This is what you love to do. I'm assuming when you do this, it doesn't feel like work.
Absolutely not. No. It's fun, even though it gets heated. You know, I mediate for companies. I work with entrepreneurs to help them understand themselves better. I've done this for a while when I used to work with the union. So, you know, that labor partnership with management was always something that was, you know, very conflicting. And I had, you know, years negotiating, years advocating for employees, years, you know, going before the labor board. So I'm very familiar with how to deal with conflict and to take more of an objective approach, because it's not about personal feelings. And even when I used to coach managers, it was just like, hey, if you're trying to fire this employee, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Let them fire themselves and detach your emotions from the job and actual duties. So that was just something that was difficult for them to understand initially. I helped and coached. And that's when I realized, like, hey, this is something that I love and I'm passionate about, and began to branch off on my own. And this is what I've been doing ever since.
Wow. Now, everybody who is listening, I know you're seeing some people put their questions in the comments in the chat. You are free to do the same. And I want to see where you are chiming in from. Let us know. Put your city and state in the chat. So, Coach DJ.
Yes.
When you and I were talking, you made this statement that literally, I think everything in my office just stopped. It was like time just paused for a second. Everything stopped. And I had you to repeat that statement because every part of me wanted to make sure we all heard you when you said what you said. And you repeated it. And I said, what the hell? I say that. Do you remember what you said?
I do. Absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
Can you tell the people what you said?
Well, there's one thing I know about businesses and why they succeed. And it's because they have systems in place for sustainability. And I says relationships fail because they do not have systems in place. And the numbers are staggering. You know, I live in Las Vegas, so I understand the odds for roulette, but people play that way with their heart. And I was like, it's time for us to stop playing that type of game. Set up some simple strategies. I'm not talking about anything that's difficult, but things that we can put into place that's going to help us deal with those difficult times, help us prepare and handle finances properly, be able to communicate more effectively, and prepare for conflict. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when conflict is going to come and how to navigate through that, because you already have rules in place. You don't have to worry about somebody falling out or just understanding their natural behaviors. Once that pressure hits, you get an opportunity to have those discussions prior to that.
So when you were doing your case studies, and you were seeing that these executives or whatever their titles were didn't have the systems in the quote unquote systems in place. Did they even know what the systems needed to be? Because I talked to people who say, oh, we talked about our finances and we've talked about our budget, but yet it's still like Clash of the Titans when it comes to money. I mean, everybody is swinging, but to hear them say they talked about it. So what's missing from the conversation, or is the conversation really just surface level?
Is definitely surface level because we're relying on our own cognizant behaviors or background in order to understand how to navigate through that. Now, the problem with that is that I call these X factors. It's based upon our exposure, it's based upon our experience, and it's based upon our expertise, right? So with that exposure, we've probably seen our parents, we've probably seen other people in relationships. So we're using some of that knowledge and background in order to help us navigate through finances. Certain things that we do want to do, certain things that we don't want to do. Also, there's exposure. So we've probably watched the Huxtables. We've probably seen these things on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, we watched some of these shows and we've probably seen other things, read books, so we have a lot of theory. We have a lot of examples that are out there. And so those things are in place. And after that, we don't really go far enough into our own expertise. And this is where we kind of lose the game because we don't understand how to master a tool set. So we're developing skill sets and we want to master a tool set in order to really not become an X. So with we have a lot of exposure. We may have some experience because, of course, we've been raised throughout the process, right? But our expertise isn't great or good enough to help us navigate through some of those storms. And therefore, we become X's. And that's typically where we fall off. And X is not where you find your treasure, not in the game of love.
Coach DJ, y'all, if y'all don't have y'all pencil and paper, y'all better be taking notes because he's dropping so many nuggets in the sentences that he's saying. And he's just, talking because this is what he does. So he's probably not even realizing the grabbing of the chest that's taking place right now with what he's saying. And listen, I got my pad and paper right here because I'm not trying to miss anything. You mentioned theory.
Yes.
So folks, my husband will not mind me saying this because he has said this publicly. He said he used to watch Leave It to Beaver, and there was another show that he watched back in the day, and that's how he pictured and based family off of, even though he knew he was watching TV at the age that he was watching it, it created an imprint. And he wanted that life. He wanted the kids to run to the door and, oh, Dad, and, the wife to be home with her apron and all the things, and hello, honey, and here's your lunch and all of that stuff. And then when he got into real world, so to speak, he didn't see that. He only saw it was on TV. So I would say that would be an example of theory versus a real life situation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Because it's not applicable in his life. So he hasn't fully got an opportunity to learn it yet because he hasn't applied it. So I try to take more practical approaches, and I don't even like the word try. So I had to even catch myself after even saying that because you can't measure trying. And right. I know this is another thing of what I say. Whatever you don't measure, you can't maximize. So you have to do it. And I'm a practical believer, so that right there. And then execution, you can understand where to make adjustments. I use this coaching method, and it's one that it's called mind, action, results. Whatever you have to have is the right mindset to start off anything. From there, you go into the action steps. So therefore, you have to understand, hey, what steps am I making that's going to help me go in the right direction? And in business, we call this start, stop, continue. What should I start doing that I'm not doing? What should I stop doing that's not benefiting me and giving me the right outcome? And then what should I continue doing that's being successful? So with that start, stop, continue method, it's going to help us give, clarity in our direction. And it's going to help us also eliminate mistakes and create efficiencies along the way.
So I want to pull a few questions from the chat. One of them is, how do you prepare for failure if you have not experienced that before? So how can you prepare, for a relationship or for the conversation that goes beyond surface if that's not been your experience or your exposure?
That's a really great question right there. And this right here has to do, this is where you develop the skill set. So this is where you have to start asking some serious, deep questions. And then there's a method in order to ask the right questions. Now, with my sales background, I get excited because I use this method called TEDish. And TEDish is TEDSH. And that is just an acronym that I use for tell me, explain, describe, share with me, and help me understand. So that's the TEDSH. Now, we become assumptive, and a lot of people make assumptions that are out of control. There's also expectations that don't get met in relationships, so there's a lot of resentment that gets built up. But with the TEDish method, you're able to discover a lot more. It's very similar to what a salesperson does when they're trying to investigate. Now, we're used to using what, who, what, when, where, how. And those are the same phrases that we use when we're interrogated. So we got to stay away from the interrogation room by just staying and getting those surface answers off of who did this, where are you going? How are you going to get, all these other questions, what are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you with? So all these different things is just help me understand. Tell me a little bit more about that. Describe a time when you were upset and how did you respond? Tell me about your background and your parents and how would you do your relationship different than theirs? So you're going well beyond the surface level in order to really understand someone, just to make sure that you're able to make a deeper level of connection and truly understand how you guys can create more alignment.
I love it. I love it. And it makes so much sense. And until you said that, because even going through elementary school, middle school, high school, that who, what, when, where, why, and how, that is drilled into you. Like,
absolutely.
From the beginning, like, this is how you get the answers. This is how you put your stories and your papers and all the things together. And then to hear you say it's an interrogating way of doing things. Yes, it is. Yes, it 100% is. You feel like you are being, for lack of a better phrase, treated like a child. And I've heard people say that because you're using you're using the technique that you were taught. So now we have to unlearn, be willing to unlearn, which also means we have to admit that we were wrong. People don't like doing that. Did your case study show that people like saying when they're wrong?
No, one of our greatest human needs is the need to be right, right? So I even said it right because I want you to agree with me. Right. But even to answer the question earlier about someone says, how do you prepare for failure even though you haven't experienced it? Experience is not always the greatest teacher as well. I don't want to have a heart attack for me to want to prevent one, I don't want to have cancer in order for me to start, exercising and living a healthier lifestyle. So it's just certain things that you don't want to experience. I experienced a lot of heartbreak, a lot of hardships. And this is how I wrote the book, through those processes. And after that, also a lot of humility. I had to, be humble and sit down. You know what I'm saying? And I have to go ahead and just say, I don't know it all, but this is what I'm willing to learn because I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And now I want to give my kids, I want to give the future generations, and also even my parents, a blueprint to say, this is our new standard of excellence when it comes down to relationships. So we don't make those mistakes and end up falling apart because we don't have enough alignment and accountability along the way.
I was literally, thank you for putting that in chat, because those of you who are listening and even those who are going to be listening to the replay, I want you to put into the chat, be humble and sit down. And I'm going to add a little something to it. Be humble and sit all the way down. Okay?
All the way.
Get comfortable. Wow. Wow.
I like Martin when he be like, sit your black down.
All the way down.
All the way.
Wow. Wow. Oh my, y'all, my brain is going at 100 miles a minute right now. So
Can I say one more thing? I know that I did say this initially, and I forgot to mention this, is that most of us are taught how to love, and we have examples on how to love. Very few know how to partner. And that's been the problem. And that's exactly why I wrote this book here called Power Partnerships, simply due to the fact that most people are missing out opportunities on how to really truly connect. Like I talked about, going on that deeper level.
mhm.
In order to really connect, we try to correct before we connect. And that's backwards. If we have deeper levels of connections, it's so much easier to correct someone. And this is just one of the methods I use whenever I start doing coaching, because it's just like, hey, I need to understand how to get someone or influence them to make better decisions. Well, first of all, you have to start off with a connection. You have to start off with a mutual agreement before you start in opposition of this person, because they're going to automatically go into defense.
We know how to love, but we
Very
don't
few
know
know how to partner.
how to partner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does partnering, what does that look like in the various areas of y'all, do y'all see the book? Y'all
Somebody
was
said, show
just
the book again.
listening.
And I'm like, okay, I got the book. I got the book. Power Partnership is critically acclaimed by Los Angeles Tribune. So this is a critically acclaimed bestseller because of its relevance, because of its impact, because of its practicality. So this is, yeah, my heart is on
So
display
if
right
y'all
here.
want to know how to partner, he's going to tell y'all at the end of this podcast how to get that book so you can
Absolutely.
get the 411. Because that's another strong statement. We know how to love, but we don't know how to partner. And would you say, or have you seen that the issues with knowing how to communicate with one another come with not knowing how to partner?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the part of the 4 pillars that I write about in the book.
Mhm.
Number one is safety. Without safety, you don't grow. Without safety, you can't learn.
Mhm.
Without safety, you're always in the negative. What I call it the negative is like the negative emotions. So you
Mhm.
have to have, because you're playing almost defense, you're not able to operate fully out of love if, there's no safety, because there's some fear based there. And those two can't exist in the same place. So number one is safety. Number two is understanding. I started to write communication when I was writing number 2 in the pillars,
Yeah.
but the first thing, if we understand, then it's easier for us to be understood. But we have to first start with that
Okay, before you go to the third one, hold on.
before I get to
Hold
the.
on. Did you catch that? He said you first have to understand before you can be understood.
Absolutely.
Tell you, in the majority of the conversations that I've heard, where people share whatever they have gone through or went in a relationship, they always say, I just want to be understood. I just want to be understood. I've never thought that the missing link was you don't understand.
Mm.
Coach D, listen, you give me too much to think about. Oh my gosh. So with that
God told us, God basically gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So that means, what do you need to do? First,
yeah.
it's here. We don't put enough emphasis on listening and
Mhm.
understanding. There's 2 different things. You can listen, you can hear something, but that means it can go in one ear and out the other. But to
Oh,
understand is to actually receive it.
y'all, I'm about to pull up I'm trying to watch the chat, but I have to pull my sounds up because so much is happening in this conversation. So we're understanding. When we think about understanding, how many of the people in your case studies really didn't understand themselves, so they couldn't understand? It was very difficult to understand anybody else because you don't even know you.
That part. they have an understanding of themselves, but it's not full. That's why I talk about that level of awareness.
Yeah.
Because they're lacking some information. They're so blindsided by, and it's just like, hey, we can't see what's on our face until we put up a mirror. I know what I look like, but I don't know exactly how I'm presenting myself if there's something on my face because I can't see it. And that's pretty much what happens in a lot of relationships. They can't see what's going on because they're operating so far in their own lens. They're not able to see and reflect on how they're presenting themselves from the inside. So this is just where it becomes very nuanced because people, we're complicated. We're all different. And it just helps us to understand. Once we understand the other person, then especially if they're different, then we're able to find out how to collaborate more and to reduce that conflict because they're in our blind spot and their strengths are just different than ours. And I'll say that again. They're in our blind spot because their strengths are different than ours. But once we're able to see, we're able to make that connection and bridge that gap.
They are in our blind spot. Dude. Bruh. Do y'all just need to just like take a breath? I just feel like I need to inhale and exhale. Like, oh my gosh. And everything that you're saying makes so much sense. And I'm replaying conversations that I've had with other people. And what you're saying is connecting so many of the missing pieces because it is so easy to see, or we think we're seeing what the other person is or is not doing from our perspective based off of what we want and expect. But we're really not understanding, like you said, the three X's, what they've been exposed to, what they have experienced and what their expertise is, and all of that. Do y'all see? Are y'all watching what I'm doing? How I'm bringing this thing together? Are you watching what I'm doing?
Yeah. Ghost ride that whip. Yeah, I see you over there just hitting it. Hey, yeah.
Yes, how I'm doing.
Pull up on me.
Come on. And all of that impacts the partnership. And we use that word partner so freely, but don't really honestly know what's required to be a partner. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I'll tell y'all the truth. My brain. Okay, Coach DJ.
Can we get to 3? Can we get to the third pillar?
3, child. Yes,
let's talk about the third pillar really quick, which is
brain is on fire. Go ahead.
So we got safety, and we talked about understanding, which definitely has to do with communication. The third pillar is alignment. And usually alignment helps us understand more of our systems. That's how we operate. And if we're out of alignment, that just means that there's a system issue there. And I always just say, hey, there's 3 things that you should probably break up. You should most likely break up for, which is abandonment, there's adultery, and then, of course, there's abuse. If there's abandonment, adultery, and abuse, then, hey, you get some serious professional help, or I understand why that can lead to divorce or a breakup. But if you're out of alignment, that is not a reason to break up. That just means there's a problem with your system. And once you correct the system, you guys will have sustainability and success in your relationship.
Wow.
It's the same thing with a car, right? If our car is out of alignment, we don't change the passenger. You don't kick out the driver.
No, you don't.
Your tires might start wearing and going bald, so you have to do some maintenance and some work on that thing. Yes. But overall, you go get it structurally fixed. So we have to just find out what mechanics aren't working well for us, and that we have to readjust. So therefore, we're both working in the same place or the same direction at the same time, which we're able to increase, or we have that exponential outcomes, simply because we're equally yoked.
Okay, so what's the fourth pillar?
Oh, the fourth pillar. Let's talk about that. That's accountability.
Accountability.
You got to have accountability. The leader who autocorrects gets the most respect. So that's one thing for sure, is just to say, hey, if I made a mistake, I'll be the first one to call it out. Or if you call it out in our relationship, I have to own it. Because I've already agreed to say, this is how I'm going to show up as my best self. So if I'm falling short, I need to reset and put myself back on the right path, because I can't take the most circuitous route in order to get to our destination, which is to success. I want to take the most direct point, which is from A to B, in order to make sure I get there. And how do I do that? Is by allowing someone to correct me when I'm wrong, and also adjusting when I know I'm out of order.
So, okay, accountability is always great. Oh, my brain is going faster than my tongue. Is there a way of doing accountability wrong, where the other person doesn't receive it? So they've made the commitment, made the covenant or whatever, but they're like, you know, what you said was one thing, but how you said it, that's what I got a problem with. And so because of that, accountability is out the window, and now we got a whole nother set of problems.
Yeah. And I've seen that happen plenty of times. Is simply because people think accountability is a scorecard. It's not. You can't say, hey, this is what I'm going to keep a checklist on just to make sure that I can find out what you're doing wrong and catch you doing it. Or blame you simply because I think this is what's going on because I'm operating out of fear.
Oh, I got to get the police on this one. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear my side?
Look what's pulling up. Hey, it's that power part. That's in here. All I'm saying is it's in here.
Oh.
Power partnerships. Yeah. So it's just really understanding, how can we have safety, more safety, more understanding, more alignment, and ultimately accountability in order to make sure that we're getting that success in our relationship. Your partnership is your greatest competitive advantage to passion and prosperity. So you will have deeper intimacy, connect on a more beyond physical, on a more holistic level. And then after that, you can focus on that prosperity part, because I have this thing called the parable of the oxen, or parable of the ox, here in my book that I wrote about. And it's just really how one ox can carry up to about 5,000 pounds.
Okay.
And when you're equally yoked, or when there's two oxen yoked together, they're able to carry up to 15,000 pounds. So that's where the math starts to math, right? This is some girl math that's starting to kick in, because 1 + 1 does equal 3 when you're doing it the right way.
Come on here.
And that's the part of having
my notebook at you.
You got to have exponential growth. I mean, I can do bad all by myself, but if I got you and you got me, oh, we going to the moon. There's no way we shouldn't be out of this world, because we have each other and we're showing up as our best. So we're bringing way more to the table. We're carrying a heavier load with less effort.
Lord, I know I'm going to be looking crazy on the clips, all the faces that I'm making in this screen. Y'all don't judge me. Talk about me. I don't care, but don't judge me. Oh, my God. Okay. Woo. Oh.
We got Q&A coming up soon, right? 1 + 1 = 3.
Do which part you want him to say again, because he dropped so much in that one load.
You know what? I'll close with this before I open it up, because I know we probably want to do some Q&A, but I love what John Hope Bryant said. John Hope Bryant said that a giver and a giver is exotic. That means you got two people in a relationship that's given to each other. I learned this in my second most transformational relationship, was understanding exactly how to show up as a best friend, how to show up and have that level of transparency where it's safe psychologically and emotionally. And especially for men, that's a really, really big deal, because if we don't feel safe, we'll start lying, we'll start omitting information, we'll start cheating, we'll start finding other things to do to occupy ourselves because we don't feel like we're walking into safe zones. And it's applicable on both sides, but I can speak as a man. But those are just some of the things that I know for sure that can definitely impact a relationship in a very negative way without having that safety. But as I mentioned before, that with that relationship, I was able to have some safety because I had a best friend, and that made sure that we were able to connect on another level. And that meant so much to me simply due to the fact that I didn't have that in my first relationship. I understood commitment in my first relationship, which was my marriage.
Okay.
My second relationship that was really transformational for me was helped me understand more about transparency, safety. And then the third one I had was when I started to understand partnership. And that's where we started structuring our house like a business. And we were able to thrive in so many areas. It's just that I still didn't understand how to communicate properly. And I still didn't understand. I didn't have that higher level of awareness. So I was still automatic. But not anymore. Not today.
Everybody's woosah, just, whoo, Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy.
So what's the question? There was a question I saw where they asked, how do you get the assessment? If you wanted to take the assessment, where do you find that?
There's companies that provide it, and my company provides it as well. Okay. It's through Predictive Index. That's the actual name of the assessment, which that's over 70-year-old company. Over 4 million assessments have been, provided to different people. Wow. It's in over 70 different languages, so people can take it in their native language, which is recommended. But overall, the results are astounding, and it's incredible because people can get that. So you can check me out if you would like to. I got DJ Rose at aimforwardsolutions.com. I'll be able to send you over a link directly, or you can go on my website and reach out to me and try to find out more. Or you can there's other companies that provide it. So I don't have to be the only source of it, but as long as you're able to get access to it, and it's called Predictive Index, and I'd highly recommend it. It takes about 6 minutes to complete the whole assessment.
So we're gonna pause real quick, and I'm going to pay some bills. And when we come back, Coach DJ is going to tell you how to get that book, because I know every last one of y'all. First of all, let me say, let me lead the pack. I already ordered my book before he even got on the doggone podcast.
Absolutely.
After we talked, I said, send me the link for your book. So I've already ordered it. Thank you. And I know everybody who is listening right now, you are going to want to order this book with everything he has dropped. Child, go on and release them coins. And when we come back, he's going to tell you how you can get his book, how you can connect with him. Absolutely. And then my OGs know about the little surprise we do with all of our guests. We're going to do that as well as soon as I get finished paying some bills. Okay, so here we go.
Ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this.
It doesn't matter what your product or service is. Our audience wants to know who you are. Become a mic drop partner and showcase your product.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this.
It doesn't matter what your product or service is. Our audience wants to know who you are. Become a mic drop partner and showcase your product and service on this podcast. Go to www.mindedmybusiness.vip/mic drop.
All right. It was trying to get a little bit disrespectful with me in the beginning. If you are interested in showcasing your business, your product, or service on this podcast, all you have to do is go to mindingmybusiness.vip/mic drop. Do not put in .com mindingmybusiness.com.net.org, not none of that. mindingmybusiness.vip/mic drop. And you'll fill out a form to see if you are a good fit to get the visibility that this podcast provides. And yes, it is affordable, but no, maybe it is not free. All right. So, Coach
Amen to that.
DJ,
Yes.
tell the people, first of all, just a little bit about your book and where they can get it.
Yes. Power Partnerships is your strategic guide to a loving relationship that lasts. So this is where I talk about how that, Warren Buffett, all of the people that has had great success. I'm talking about billionaires. Usually they give credit to their partners. Hey, this person has been by my side in order to support me to get there. So this is just, and you'll see some of that in the book as well. But overall, you can go to the website, powerpartnerships.org, powerpartnerships.org, and you can order the book from there. You can get it directly, and it's through Books By, and you can order your book directly. You can go on Amazon, of course. You can go to different platforms in order to order the book as well. If you would like a signed copy, I still have people go to my Stand store, which you can get a signed copy, and I can send it to you directly, just like you did. And that way, some people just like to have that. I do like to write little notes and messages in the book, and just to stay connected with different people. And you can follow me on my socials, just DaSjuan Rose on IG, DaSjuan Rose on Facebook, and there's no spaces or hyphen. It's just my first name, DaSjaun. And my last name is Rose, like the flower, DaSjuan Rose, IG and Facebook, and also TikTok. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. That's one of my favorite places to hang out.
So for those of you that are watching, you can see the spelling of his name right at the bottom of his square so that you know how to spell it properly, just in case you forget. And what is your Stand store information, Coach DJ?
Stand store / DaSjuan Rose.
I'm going to put that in because I know there's some people like me who are spoiled and they want a signed copy. So Stand store / DaSjuan. So there's no anything after Stand store, just the slash?
It should be just a slash. Let's take a look here.
Okay. Because I know y'all want
stand.store / DaSjuan Rose.
All right. I'm going to put that in the chat. And then I will also, after the video is finishing processing on YouTube, I will also put that in the comments, both the powerpartnerships.org as well as the Stand store information, so that you can get your copy of the book. Now, Coach DJ, at the end of our podcast, we always have a question for our guest, but the catch of it is it was left by the previous guest who had no idea who was going to show up today.
Okay.
So they asked the question blindly. Here's your question.
Get ready. Okay.
Yeah, get ready. Sit on up. Get ready. What's the one thing that you've never told anyone, but this audience needs to know in order to move forward and become a higher version of themselves?
Ooh, this is something that I've never told anyone.
Yup, something that you've never told anyone. The audience needs to know in order to move forward and become a higher version of themselves.
I've said a lot to a lot of people. The only thing I probably haven't said, is, and I'm talking to myself as well.
Okay.
Is to stop lying to yourself and live in your truth, operate out of love. And for me, I would definitely say, hey, in order to be the best version, like we talked about the best version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
allow other people to hold you accountable. I solicit negative feedback on purpose. And because everybody's going to tell you the good. That's one thing about AI as well. It's programmed in order to give you positive responses.
Mm-hmm.
I force it to be an antagonist. I force it to tell me what the flaws are, what the issues are. And that way I'm able to not have that in my blind spot. I can have a higher level of awareness, and I can show up with more intention and attention. So therefore our relationship can have a retention.
I hope y'all got all. I hope you were writing down. Have mercy. Now, what you get to do is you get to leave a question for the next guest.
I can leave the question for the next guest.
So what would you like for them to answer?
I like this. Okay. Ooh, this is tough. I know I got 2 or 3 questions. I gotta narrow it down to one.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm probably base it up on freedom, because that's always like my number one thing and number one goal to have.
Okay.
If you could truly be free, and what I mean by that is just freedom in every aspect of your life, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, what would you do to make the greatest impact on others?
Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. It's so crazy because I'm the only one who knows who the next guests are. And without fail, the questions that are asked line up with what I know about the next guest. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. So before we get ready to close it out, chat. Are there any other questions for Coach DJ? Any other questions before we get ready to wrap it up? I'm scrolling through to make sure I did not miss anything. Do not forget to order the book. Oh, let me put on here. I forgot to showcase some of the comments that were put in. Yes, be humble and sit all the way down. Heller, yes. I don't see any questions. So, Coach DJ, honey, you brought it. I told the people in the posting that I was doing that you were going to bring the heat, and you brought it. Okay, wait a second. Somebody type, how do you allow yourself? Oh, how do you allow yourself to be accountable and not be offended?
I like that one.
I like that too.
That's a good question right there.
Yeah. How do you do that, Coach DJ? Let me get a drink of water while you ponder.
All right. So how do you be accountable without being offended? Here is number one, for me, especially if it's your spouse or your mate or a family member or whatever the case may be, is understanding that you're on the same team. You are, and it could be a coworker, it could be any one of those facets, where it's professionally or personal, but you're on the same team. If they're calling something out on you, it's only because it's going to make you better.
Mm.
Why would you be offended off of that? That's like telling me I got a booger in my nose, and why would I get mad at you for telling me that? I'm gonna dig in there and I'm gonna get it out. And I'm gonna clean my hands and use some sanitizer, because that's important.
Thank you.
But if
Yes.
we were calling out the flaws in other people, why would we get offended? It's simply because we were operating on a lower vibrancy, and after that, we have to increase that in order to say, hey, how could you help me show up as my best self? It could be a stranger, it could be anyone else, but we have to stop getting so offended so easily based upon when somebody's trying to help us. Now, another thing is actually to solicit that information. And it helps us understand who has a victim mentality, because a lot of people get offended simply due to the fact that they don't even know how to receive negative feedback, which I call it constructive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We have this connotation that it's negative, but it could be very productive.
Mm.
And some of our greatest wins in life is from the lessons that we've learned when we lost. And I think that, the one thing I know about the word blessed is that it has less in it. So that's the part of being like humble and sitting myself down, is that I understand what it's like to have less. And that
Wow.
increases my appreciation level to know that I am truly blessed. But to answer that question is just to hold yourself accountable, is just to say, hey, I really want to step into this thing, which is greatness, and I'm gonna own it in every way possible.
Wow. Great question. Great question. I think it's a perfect way to end this. Thank you, Coach DJ.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you so much. You have left us with a whole lot to think about. I can't wait to get my book so that I can start reading.
It should be there. I was checking your tracking.
I hope it gets here, because then I'm going to start sounding real educated, like I know what I'm talking about by the time I'm going to finish reading your book. Thank you so much. You all don't forget to follow him on all of the social media, whatever you are on, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I will post the links to be able to order the book in the comment section on this YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to this channel, get on. We've been doing this since October, and every guest every single week has been fire, and it just keeps getting betterer and betterer and betterer. Okay, so Coach DJ, thank you again, and I pray that you have a fantabulous rest of your week.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and share my knowledge. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it another night. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to share this interview. Somebody, at least 5 people that you know, needed to hear what Coach DJ had to say. And I believe that several of you are going to need to watch the replay. So y'all take care, and I will holler at you later.